So, good morning, Chuck from Precision Builders and Remodelers, formerly Chuck's Home Improvements, formerly Chuck's Roofing. Um, Most of you know I rebranded about 4 years ago after many, many years being Chuck's Home Improvements because I took on a partner and just made sense to rebrand and have him included in everything. But anyway, I thought today I would go a little bit back to my roots and talk about roofing, where I started. Um, Roofing has changed a lot in the last 40 years, 45 years since I started out. Um, but as I'm going, if anybody has any questions about any other phases of construction or remodeling, feel free to ask. I'll field them questions also. But roofing. So, roofing is one of the biggest investments you'll have when it comes to working on your house. The roof protects everything. Without a good roof, you're gonna have problems because if you get water coming in your house, we all know what kind of damage that can cause. As far as sheetrock and painting and floors, not to mention property. So you want to make sure you have a good roof. So back in the day, it was very limited as to what you could put on a residential roof. And I'm strictly talking residential today. I'm not getting into any commercial stuff because I really don't do commercial stuff. Some small buildings, gas stations, or stuff. But the big commercial jobs, I don't get involved in them. Back in the day, I used to do all these jobs myself. Residential jobs, tearing them off, putting them back on. I had a crew. I actually had several crews at one time. I had 10 guys, and I was running 2, 3 roofs at a time. And what I found was quality control became an issue. Just watching everybody, making sure they're doing everything right. And I found that, I started to lose a few steady customers. So, years and years ago, I'm going back 15 or 20 years, I decided that I'm going to work with one crew. I'm going to supervise the crew, and I'm going to make everything get done to my satisfaction, the way I would want it done if somebody was doing my job. So I did roofing every day for years and years, and that's all I did. But I did have a background in other stuff, so it did allow me to make the transition to construction, remodeling, home improvements, that sort of thing. So it did make it easy. And as you're doing this stuff over the years, you pick up a lot of information about construction and how everything's done. But I did have the opportunity when I was younger to work some very good carpenters, and they taught me a lot. But it just seemed like roofing was where I could make the most money, and I did. Uh, so back then we were limited in residential roofing. You had this. I'm going back before they had the profile shingles like the Timberlines, some of the other stuff you see in the presidentials, slate line. We had 3-tab shingles, and that's what we did. We didn't have any guns. We didn't have any like lativators. We carried everything up. We hand nailed everything. Obviously, since then, the whole industry has changed. There's all types of residential roofing now you can do on your house, not just fiberglass shingles. We've done a lot of slate work. We've done a few tin jobs, metal roofing. Um, I also want to talk about flat roofs on residential homes. Flat roofs, again, back in the day, you basically had one or two options for flat roofs, and neither one of them were very good. They only had about a 5-year lifespan. It was like roll roofing or a emulsion that we put down with a fiberglass mat. Neither one lasted long. Let's just say that flat roofs in general, if they don't have any pitch on them, it's a bad situation. You're always going to find a leak. You're always going to develop leaks on flat roofs. The water sits there. It's got no place to go. If it's not draining properly, it's going to sooner or later leak through. But now we have a lot of options. I would say about 30 years ago, they came out with the bituminous roofing, which is a rubber roofing. Everybody's heard of rubber roofing by now. But back then, the only thing that they had was a torch applied bituminous rubber roofing, which I'm sure some of us have heard about the problems they had with the torch applied roofing, with burning dormers off houses or off roofs, literally burning the whole roof or the whole house down. So that became a big problem. So they started to regulate that. I'm sorry?
Robbinsville lost the whole country club with torch down.
Yeah, there started to be a big problem with that. Because back then there wasn't even no license or registration required. Just go buy the stuff, get a torch, and start burning stuff down. But now we've got all kind of products for residential flat roofs. I've been using a product that is actually a self-adhering rubber roof. And all these rubber roofs come with granulated surfaces now, which you can match the color of the shingle to the flat roof. And it's got the same granulated surface as a shingle has. So it not only looks attractive, but it's very easy to install. And there's no chance for fire. There's no heat involved, no torch involved. I still do a little bit of torching here and there on some small jobs, but mostly it's the self-adhering, stick down, very easy to install. It looks good, and it has a 20-year lifespan. Um, I think the bituminous torch applied had a 25 or 30-year lifespan. But there are a bunch of different manufacturers making these rubber roofs now, and they work very well on dormers, flat roofs if you have a lower flat roof or something. So we do a lot of that now. We really don't use the torch. I got 3 or 4 torches in the garage that I don't think we've used them in years. So that covers the flat roof part. Let's go back to the shingles for a minute. Like I said previously, back in the day, we had 3 tabs, which was a basic 20-year shingle, last you about 10, 15 years. And then you'd have to redo your roof. Nowadays, they have everything from, I don't even think they make a 20-year no more. It starts at 25-year. You can still get the 3 tab, but now everybody's using the GAF Timberline shingles. They're a thicker shingle. They're a higher profile shingle. They come with a lifetime warranty, which I personally don't know how they get away with, because it doesn't last a lifetime. But you can get 25 years out of it, which is about the most you're going to get out of any fiberglass roof, unless you get into slate. I mean, I've worked on slate roofs that are over 100 years old, and they're still in good shape. And I've put on slate roofs that are going to last 100 years. But of course, the price really goes up. Slate is very expensive. Wood shakes, we've done lots of wood shakes jobs. Not so much around here, but in the Princeton area. Some people are just looking for that look. And again, wood shakes are very expensive because they're time consuming to put down, just like slate. It's one little piece at a time, one little piece at a time. Whereas shingles, you got a gun, you got a 3-foot strip, and you're just boom, 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 boom. It's very fast. Um, right now, what I do with my roofing that comes in right now, I obviously don't do it personally no more. I physically can't do it. But I have my partner that's able to do the smaller ones. Like we got a couple of little porch roofs to do for Dave in Marsville, and we'll do them ourselves. But I do have a roofing crew that I've been using for 2 or 3 years now. He's done a couple of yours, maybe somebody else's in here we've done. But I've come to trust this guy. I know him very well. He does a very good job. I inspect everything. I meet him on the job. I go over with him what we got to do. I sell the job. I meet with the customer. They pick out their color, their shingle style, and then I have him come in and I show him what to do. I let him do it. I come back. I check everything, and I got to tell you, in 3 years, I haven't had a single call back on a roof. So, any questions?
I have a friend who's going through a divorce, and so they're trying to sell their property. And the, I guess, inspection person came out and said that they need a new roof. They're all the way down in Alabama. They were price quoted around like $15,000. Does that sound like an average?
It
They're a
does.
small rancher. I thought it was pretty.
It
light
does sound like
price.
kind of an
Okay,
average if you're going to tear it off.
Yeah.
I mean, roofs right now are going anywhere from 10 to 20,000,
Okay.
depending on the size. What style shingle. I was going to get a little bit about into the solar panels and the roofing and how they're going to coexist, but I ran out of time. Steve belled me.
I'd love to hear that.
Well, you can actually save that for when Tim's here, so you can get his input.
Yeah,
So
that might be a good idea.
So Chuck, on the lifetime roof, if I said I want to do my roof, I want to get lifetime shingles.
Mhm.
In 25 years, now right now I have a timberline. In 25 years, is it going to look better?
Now,
than
the
my
timberline,
30 year?
I don't want to interrupt, but the timberline you have now is probably not a lifetime timberline.
30 years.
It's probably a 30 years. That's what I was going to say.
So lifetime, I'm concerned that it will look nice. I see a lot of people put roofs on, and they look nice in the beginning, but after 15 years, they don't look so great. But then you got to tolerate the next 10
Well,
years.
there's a lot of factors that go into that. I mean, how much sun you get on your roof. A lot of these roofs are growing a lot of moss because they don't get enough sun. Northern exposure, I've seen roofs that are completely covered on the backside with moss and none on the front.
Right.
Too much sun can also affect the shingles.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some, if you got bad plywood and it starts to delaminate or starts to ripple on you, that's going to affect the way the shingles lie. So, and that's a whole nother story, getting into the plywood and all that, your decking.
Steve, a good attic fan will save your roof.
I have an attic.
A good one.
Well, attic fans are good, but nothing can replace a ridge vent. The ridge vent will cover your whole attic as long as you have soffit vents that work in conjunction with your ridge vent.
What gets done?
Sort of like.
If you need gutters and a roof, what do people usually do? The gutters first or the roof?
Roof. Roof first, then gutters.
Are those lifetime warranties transferable, like if you sell the house, or I'm thinking that's how maybe they get around
They
it?
are.
Usually, yes. Usually they are. But I got to tell you, even if you buy a lifetime shingle, they're going to prorate it. They're going to come out. They're going to inspect the shingle. If it's 20 years old and you think it's going bad, it could be a manufacturer defect. And if it is, you're only going to get a percentage of the material cost back, and they'll never pay for the labor.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris.
All right, last question.
If there is moss.
Last question. We got to cut it
If
short.
there is moss like growing on your roof and everything like that, do you have any recommendation for how to remove that? Is it a
Yes, you
chemical,
can. You can
physical?
power wash it. I've done plenty of power washing on roofs.
Okay.
So that is one option. I wouldn't get up there with a scraper and try to do that because you're scraping off the granules off the shingles. Even with the power wash, you got to be a little careful. You might not be able to get 100% of it off, but I've done really good jobs where it's like night and day. So you can power wash. There are companies out there that will actually paint your roof. They have a special product. It's a silicone-based product, and they'll come out there with sprayers and they'll paint your shingles. I don't recommend it.
Do you do that before that you would throw moss in? Because you wouldn't paint over the moss, right?
Oh, moss, you saying?
Well, with the paint, like, would you do that like as
Right, clean
after?
No, you'd have to clean the moss first.
Yeah,
Right. I don't recommend it because what it does is it seals the roof, and any roof needs to breathe, whether it's wood shakes, slate. I don't know about tin so much, but shingles, they need to breathe. And once you seal them like that, they can't breathe no more. They're going to delaminate from the bottom up, and you're not even going to notice the damage until all your plywood shot. So it's not something I recommend. Not something I see a lot of. But
To let you know, the insurance industry, they don't like flat roofs, so.
Yeah.
You come to me with a flat roof, I'm saying I can't.
yeah, flat roofs are they're
They're
nobody likes them.
plain waiting to happen.
Yep.